Donatello reinvents the classical statue. For nearly 1,000 years, the great tradition of classical sculpture had been fading from Europe. The ancient Greeks and Romans had carved human beings who seemed alive. Muscles shifted beneath skin, bodies rested naturally on one leg, faces carried personality, and figures occupied space as though they might suddenly move. Medieval Europe still produced beautiful sculpture, but much of it served architecture and religion. Saints stood against cathedral walls. Figures were often symbolic, formal, and attached to the buildings around them. Then, in 15th century Florence, a young sculptor named Donatello began looking backward and discovered a way forward. Born around 1386, Donatello belonged to the same extraordinary generation that produced Brunelleschi. Both men studied the surviving ruins and artwork of ancient Rome. But Donatello wasn't interested in simply copying the Romans. He wanted to recover their understanding of the human body. Around 1415, he created his statue of Saint George. George doesn't look like a distant supernatural figure. He stands firmly on the ground, alert and confident. His weight shifts naturally through his body. His face suggests a real young man preparing himself for danger. The stone seems to contain a living person. Then Donatello went further. Around the 1440s, he created David in bronze. And this was revolutionary. David was completely freestanding and completely nude. The first major life-size nude statue created in Europe since antiquity. The biblical hero isn't shown as a massive warrior. He's young, almost delicate. He stands casually over the severed head of Goliath, wearing little more than boots and a hat. Donatello had revived an ancient artistic idea called contrapposto. The body's weight rests primarily on one leg while the other relaxes. The hips tilt. The shoulders respond. The entire figure develops a subtle curve. It sounds simple, but it makes stone and bronze look alive. And Donatello wasn't finished. Later, he created the enormous bronze equestrian monument known as Gattamelata in Padua. A military commander sits confidently on horseback, recalling the mounted emperors of ancient Rome. Europe once again had monumental freestanding sculpture celebrating an individual human being. Donatello helped change what Renaissance artists believed sculpture could do. A statue didn't have to merely decorate a building. It could stand alone, it could occupy our world, it could show anatomy, personality, confidence, vulnerability, even beauty for its own sake. The Renaissance was rediscovering the classical world. But Donatello demonstrated something more important. You don't revive the past by copying it. You study what the old masters discovered, and then begin creating again.